Now they're driving, $6,000, $8,000 cases for just $637.78 in ad spend, plus then the referrals, the back end sales, and all that other stuff. So literally a 10x return on that investment on their ad spend right there. Let's talk about how we help this regenerative medicine practice scale up and close new $6,000 to $8,000 cases for just $637.78 in ad spend. This is a screenshot right here of one of our dashboards, part of our dashboards, where you could see over the last 3 days, 1 case, 637 spent. We've closed about 4 in the last 30 days, where you could see over here the cost per acquisition improving over time, along with the cost per show and the cost per booking and these other metrics. So I'm going to dive in and share with you guys exactly how. Now, I do want to just let you know, of course, as you can see, this is a brand new campaign. It's only been active about 40 days and is in one of the most challenging markets in the US, Dallas-Fort Worth, right? When this office started with us, they weren't getting the results they knew were possible. They were basically break even in their marketing before factoring in all of the time, energy they had to invest just to keep breaking even. And so this is an actual screenshot below here of some of the notes from my call with the owner before he did start with us. And I'm not going to read through all of this, but you can see jump from company to company, poor quality, not qualified, nothing is provided on the back end for creating the desire, saw our training, which made much better sense. He was working with them from November to February. So that's 4-ish months, 428 leads. Here's the stats. 14 showed and started, 43% show rate, 23% start rate. Most didn't start because they didn't qualify for financing, low credit score, didn't want to pay payment plans with them because they didn't have it. They made an adjustment, adding in income levels to Facebook specific, but they still weren't seeing the results. We'll finance 100%, don't have the manpower to further qualify them. October to February. So in fact, I think he got the numbers wrong, but October to February, they spent $20K on ads, $11K to the company. They collected $52,000 in revenue. And so they did about $20K in profit. Not to mention, so they were doing about $4K net per month in profit, although that's after sales and marketing. That's before staff, other expenses, everything else. That's just sales and marketing expenses. So and then also financing companies. So, they basically lost money. Especially when you factor in financing companies and stuff like that, and staff and commissions and everything. And so ultimately they were dealing with, they were jumping from company to company to only consistently deal with, low show rates, 43%, right? Of new patients to from appointments to showing up in their consults. 23% of patients starting care. Most were because of some level of poor financial quality. Also, no differentiation in their market. They mentioned, skepticism and patients were there wasn't desire, and then also the financing, wherever that was, didn't qualify, low credit, or just didn't have it. And then basically break even. That math comes out to 1.67x ROI. If you're running a practice, when you factor in all those other expenses, it's break even or in the negative. So not to mention, he was having website issues up the wazoo. There's no pixel on the site. There was a bunch of other, just the site structure was poor. Not really designed to convert visitors. SEO they were investing into wasn't strong, overpaying for it, social media management, lack of tracking and proper setup, just nothing really was in place for them to have a predictable, consistent, profitable system for them to scale, right? And what these companies were doing to drive these results and what the doctor thought would yield them just didn't match what would actually need to happen. So most offices, from what I've seen, speaking out of thousands and thousands, just simply don't know what it takes. They haven't done it before, right? We've worked now with over 339 cash and some high ticket insurance clinics, right? Including one that we own with my father. And we've spent over $7 million in digital ad spend on these campaigns, where we've figured out what it truly takes. And so in this video, I'm going to break down what the real problem was for this office scaling up and exactly how we fixed it, and how we instantly saw a 20% increase in show rate, over 30% increase in close rate, closed 4 new cases in the past 2 weeks, 30K in additional revenue from just 3K in ad spend in this 2-week period. And now we're scaling it up to over 10K per month in ads. right? And so this was only possible once we dialed in the specific process, which I'll uncover in this training, right? And so we audited everything. And what we found was most areas could be improved, and none of these areas really addressed the deeper root level problem for what was happening. The current state of the market, especially in a city like Dallas-Fort Worth, which operates a lot like a Los Angeles, a Miami, even in New York City, right? Where competition is high, more options are available, attention spans are lower, and more folks are advertising. So I call it the patient trust gap, which I'll break down in a little bit more in a moment. But my findings were as followed. The sales process really didn't seem that bad in the office. They had most of the systems that we suggest, good financing companies to help patients convert, and the rest of the processes though just like we're really out of alignment, and we're definitely not addressing, the PTG that I was referring to, the patient trust gap. Now in 2024. Consumer trust is reportedly at an all-time low. You could research studies. I've got a chart right here that literally details over the last 20 years, consumer trust, and it's the lowest it's ever been, right? And if you haven't seen this in office, right, patients want to be in the driver's seat, and most of the time, are walking in and largely call in shots and all this stuff. And just with trust being low, it's like you have to suffice for that. And so I pulled up here, just out of curiosity, I'm like, what is the definition anyway of trust, right? And what it really is a belief in the reliability, truth, or ability of. I thought that this one seemed to be the best definition. It's very similar to here, the firm belief in the reliability, truth, or ability of someone or something, but believe in the reliability, truth, or ability of. And so ultimately, trust comes from, that's exactly what trust comes from. And so with this office, prior to us jumping on board, the ads and funnels were just poor. There's no differentiation, no uniqueness in their market, which is vital, being that they're in a competitive market, right? So competition only there's all these sorts of people and stuff, and I hear so many conversations around competition. The truth is, though, if there's other people in the market that are marketing the same thing, that's competition. And so you have to create this other ocean for yourself and differentiate to be the most successful you can be. Otherwise, it's just commoditized. It's apples versus apples. You want it to be apples versus oranges, so to speak. There's no superiority. There's no differentiation, no uniqueness, no superiority. And it's unfortunate because these guys run like a legit, very well run clinic, strong background, strong owner, but online, they just simply look the same as everyone else. And it doesn't really build, going back to that trust, that belief in the reliability, truth, or ability of this office. If a patient's seeing 12 different ads throughout the day and they all look the exact same, and they see yours and you're the 12th and it looks the same as the others, like, does that give them more or less trust? Less belief in the reliability, truth, or ability of that office, right? The ads were short and spammy. There wasn't much substance to them. Just said that they could help a knee condition, and that was really it. There was an image, and that was it, and so they could help it. For patients seeing a ton of ads throughout the day, there was no trust being built, no way for the patients to remember the office, no true substance, right? Let alone the fact that the ideal patient has been to often numerous other doctors who've said they could help their condition and didn't help them. They gave them medications. They said, hey, there is no solution other than surgery. Maybe even they failed surgery, whatever it is, cortisone shots, all these other things that they tried. And they wouldn't still be on the search if it actually provided them, of course, with a solution. So they're looking for something that's new and different and better than the other things that they've tried. And additionally, they didn't get, so when I was reading these, like I said, it really just covered a knee condition, we could help, that's it. And they never really got to the emotion, the pain, the desire of the patients with these knee problems, which is the real driver for people to take action, right? This not only on a psychological level kicks their bruised knee, so to speak, but and brings attention to these folks' pain, which pain, if you didn't know, is the biggest driver of human behavior. Pain, or like moving away from pain or moving towards pleasure, right? And so we're touching on the emotional pain and desire, which covers both of those, definitely a lot more on the pain, because although pain is a much bigger driver, And so, for example, if you're having sex, right, and a bear runs into the bedroom, are you going to keep having sex, or are you going to go fend off the bear or freaking run, right? If you're going to run or fend off the bear, maybe then you'll get back to your evening activities, right? So in the ads, we want to press on that pain. Like, that's the biggest lever that we could pull. So what things can they no longer do that they used to be able to do? And this isn't just, hey, your knee hurts. Hey, it's an annoyance. It's a bother. It's the emotional trigger. It's the step deeper, right? Yeah, my knee hurts and I struggle to walk up the stairs. But what does that actually mean, right? That means that I need assistance. That means I feel like a burden, right? That means I don't have the freedom and the independence to do the things that I once was able to do, right? Or I'm in fear that I'm going to fall and I'm going to break a hip too, right? Or I'm in fear that my condition's only going to get worse and I'm never going to solve this and I'm going to end up having bigger problems, right? That's the deeper level. The emotional, subconscious thoughts and feelings and fears that are keeping them up at night. And that's what we want to tap into. What are the thoughts going through their head? So interrupt that thinking, and that meets them where they're at. And this builds so much trust, because on a psychological level, when we show that we understand their problem on a deeper level, which means not, hey, I know you've got arthritis in the knee and it's bone on bone, the clicking, the popping, like the deeper level, what I'm talking about. When we show them that we understand that, they know in a heartbeat that we can help them, because they see that we understand and can put into words even exactly what they're going through, where they haven't even been able to properly express it. It's going on and they're having those subconscious beliefs, but they haven't even been able to put it into words. And so it's a really powerful psychological technique that we use in all of our advertising. We call it the recruitment advertising and the mind reading ads, which I'll talk about. But this is really important. And when not addressed, you also just may not get the ideal fit patients that are severe chronic. Because when we're doing this, we're only attracting those folks. Like, we might get a couple that are like here and there, but like, we're calling out and pulling towards us all of those folks that are going through those subconscious thoughts, as well as, the physical condition that we're describing, right? And without this, like, it's just a lot tougher to attract those folks, because it's just not as much in alignment with them. And also, you just don't grab them. Like, when I write this, it grabs them by the throat. That's why we call it mind reading. It's throat grabbing copy, which I'll talk about a little bit more. And you will certainly struggle to get folks that remember you, trust you. When you do this, they remember you. They trust you. Like I said, they know that you could help them. And they'll tend to be more skeptical without this, especially when these other areas, which I'll share in a second, aren't addressed. And so honestly, if all they did was just change this would have heavily upticked their campaign. Usually lead costs will drop, follow through and all the other, steps of the funnel increase. And so this would have given them a pretty big improvement, but it didn't end there in our audit, right? And it's really disappointing, because what I see this stuff so often, and what I'm going to share is a lot of just these things. I'm just like, man, it's just kind of disappointing. The funnels were also just very short and spammy. They drove to a simple form, name, email, phone number. All of the information was pre-filled, meaning a lot of it's not accurate, because when it's pre-filled, especially this was on something like Facebook, where people regularly fill out forms, you get the information that they use to fill out forms for advertising. And I don't know if you've ever filled out a form for advertising, but if you're anything like me, you usually don't use your best phone number, your best email. You might change a phone number, change a number, change a letter in the email address, or put a whole random fake email address and a fake name. You're kind of a little bit more skeptical in the same way, and just not wanting to be bombarded. And so that's what you often get. So rather having them manually type it, and it's more correct and verify and all this other stuff, which can just drive you much better quality data. And then when you guys are putting in the work and calling and contacting these folks, or you'll just get much better results. So these were short and spammy. Once again, though, it also just doesn't give that information and to build that trust. And they simply booked online, and that was it. Office didn't have a strong script for the scheduling process. They struggled to reach people. I don't know if you saw the notes, they also just didn't have the manpower to do so. No credit cards were being taken off file. There was no financial screening occurring online or over the phone, right? So anyone with a pulse was able to come in. Most of them didn't, right? No additional information for a patient to learn about the office before they came in, right? Because also the patients which we're wanting to attract are those with money, which are going to be more sophisticated. And so they're also going to value their time more. And if we don't give them information on the front end to show them that this is worth their time, they're not going to show up. And so the only people they got showing up were the people that had no money. For patients going through the process, it sure just doesn't seem like the type of marketing that would represent the best clinic in the world, capable of helping them to avoid surgery, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not saying they're the best clinic in the world, and we certainly weren't saying this in the advertising, but they really do run a strong clinic. Most of the folks we work with tend to have a strong clinic, right? But just like their online presence doesn't represent that a lot, like these folks. So we spun this on its head, right? Set up actual thorough mind reading ads with our patient recruitment method that pulled out what was unique and powerful about this office, met the patients exactly where they were at, grabbed them literally what felt like by the throat and pulled them into the copy. Like I said, mind read and just sucked them in. And so this is just a screenshot, nothing crazy. Like this is just one ad I just quickly pulled. The image isn't anything crazy, but it meets them where they're at, right? But the copy went a lot deeper. Scared of knee replacement. I didn't want to share everything, but scared of knee replacement beyond the cost recovery feels like XYZ, and it just goes long, right? So I just want to use that as an example. And you can see like the engagement's crazy on this. Like it's really connecting with people. There's a bunch of comments like raving about the clinic and whatever. And so pretty cool stuff. Patients were then directed to our recruitment funnels. All leads manually typed in their information, went through 15 or so questions to apply, much like applying to a job, right? So just like I was saying before, how do we build trust? One of the best ways to build trust too is position yourself as an expert, which a lot of that stuff didn't do. Expertise, back to that definition I mentioned, right? Well, that will add to the belief in the reliability, truth, or ability of, right? And so we have them apply much like they do in a job. As they go through it, there's all sorts of content that indoctrinates them, content, testimonials, more information, right? And then, I think I meant to delete this, but then they were screened, and then only after that were they able to schedule and speak with someone on our team. We also, for these folks, we're handling all the scheduling for them, so we took that off their shoulders so they don't have the burden, and their team can now focus just on treating patients at the highest level. And some other things even we shared, which I'll talk about in a second, for driving more patients. But then they could schedule after having a brief phone interview, right? So we're not just scheduling an appointment, it's a phone interview. It's 15 to 20 minutes whereby we interview them to ensure they're a legitimate candidate for our care on a health history, financial, and motivational level. If so, we'll go ahead and schedule them. We'll get their credit card on file, pre-sell them on our treatments and what makes us unique about the office, a number of other things, motivation level, ensure spouses are showing up so we eliminate those objections later, right? Imaging and all this other cool stuff. And thereafter, we have them watch an entire series of a virtual webinar training before even visiting us so they're pre-educated, can move quickly through our process, right? And so this is huge. Like this has been a game changer for them. You could see here a screenshot of a lot of this. That's step one with patient recruitment with those 4 key steps, which is really what I'm talking about here. And then, all the other stuff which we've worked with them on with the in-office stuff for steps 5 through 8, and then even go into that step 9. Now these patients, though, they walk into the office pre-sold, ready to buy, excited to meet with the office, not skeptical and pulled back like they were dealing with in the past. And the office is literally raking in a 60% show rate in the last 2 weeks, and it just keeps going up, and a 66.67% close rate. The show rate has increased 50%. The close rate has tripled, right? Not to mention, and their ROI is through the roof, like I just showed you. Not to mention all the other marketing avenues and lead sources we help them plug in with the scholarship method, where I know they're getting a ton of other patients, but we don't even have a track because it's just, we gave them some systems, some training, and they're just kind of doing their own thing with it. And the MD and patient referrals, they now generate on the back end. They officially have a truly predictable system for scaling, and now that's exactly what they're doing. So now we've gone ahead and scaled it up to $10K per month in ad spend, and are going to continue to build from there. So now they're driving, $6,000, $8,000 cases for just $637.78 in ad spend, plus then the referrals, the back end sales, and all that other stuff. So literally a 10x return on that investment on their ad spend right there. And so if you run a regenerative medicine or related practice and want to get serious results like these and truly scale up your practice volume, your profits, and help more patients, I have a link below. Go ahead, book a call in my calendar, and let's talk. It's thinkbullish.com/schedule or click the button or the link below. We're so confident in our process and our ability to grow similar offices that for those who qualify, I have a full 4-week satisfaction guarantee or your money back. There's terms and conditions. Like I said, you do have to qualify, but we will send you every penny back. No strings attached. Full satisfaction guarantee, no questions asked. And truly, I believe that right now there is no better time to scale these types of offices. So I'm telling you, and I've been stressing this over the last couple months, even the last couple of years, competition will expand. I've seen it over the last, really over the last 4 years, where we've been really deep with offices, and over the last 7 years for sure. Competition will expand. I've seen it since COVID at a very compounded rate. Competition will expand. Marketing channels will only continue to get more and more competitive, and it will become more challenging. I've already seen it, and it's only going to get harder and harder for these offices to succeed. Soon, there's going to probably just be like a couple really strong franchises even that are going to be like really pulling a lot of weight. There's already some, but I don't think they're yet as notable players in the space. But I'm telling you, competition will expand. More offices will be marketing than ever. There will be more offices popping up. And so if you want to get in on this patient rush, the time is now. Book a call, like I said, on my calendar. Click that link, click that button below, grab a time. I'll send you some other content stuff that you can watch, go through my other content here, but book a call and let's chat and let's see if it's a good fit. Hope this was helpful and valuable for you. I will see you next time. Cheers.